Oh, what a bright sunny morning. No rain, no wind. Just wake up Silvia.
It would appear that this geek guy forgot to hit record, but I can assure you Silvia was greeted warmly and she was quickly ready to get on the road. Today we check out a huge wooden train trestle, visit more small towns, I send more corny postcards to my wife. A local by the name of Jim approaches me and offers to give me a tour of the abandoned Catholic church that I'm looking at. And finally, a moving tribute to a local dog from the early 1900s, Old Shep. Founded in 1908, Ingomar became a hub of commerce when the Milwaukee Railroad completed its line across Montana. The community had no source of water and relied heavily on the railroad to provide 22,000-gallon water tank cars each week for the townfolk. Today, Ingomar is most known for the Jersey Lily Saloon and Eatery. The railroad promoted the growth of the area by encouraging settlers to use the 1909 Enlarged Homestead Act to stake 320-acre claims. There were an average of 2,500 homestead filings per year in this area between 1911 and 1917.
This place has a post office, so it's time to mail Lori some more cards. Day number 5. Why do I love you? You encouraged me to buy toys. Roses are red, men are just big boys. I really do like shiny new toys. And day number 6. Why do I love you? You made Dad's trip to Colorado very special. Roses are red, I'm really not sad, but I still miss my dear old Dad.
I couldn't find much on this small town, but from Wikipedia I found, in 1866, the Rocky Mountain Wagon Road Company built a trading post named Kercheval City. Flooding destroyed the post. The Montana Hide and Fur Company later built a post and warehouse on the site and renamed it Musselshell. Barber, Montana. This former whistle stop along the Milwaukee Railroad was founded in 1910. By 1920, the town was endowed with a post office, general store, hotel, bank, implement store, and church. The post office and railroad depot for the community were located on a privately owned ranch. When railroad officials came knocking seeking to purchase more land, the offer was refused. In response, the depot was moved 8 miles to the west and took on the name of Shawmut with it. We'll talk about that in the next clip. Someone suggested the old station, the one I'm talking about, take on the name Barber, as they had been given a clean shave. The post office hung on until the late 1950s, and the local church is actually still in use today. There's not much information on this small town. The post office was opened in 1885 and is actually still in operation today. The town is named after a local rancher and was once a station on the Milwaukee Railroad. It lies along the Musselshell River. Straw, Montana is an extremely small, unincorporated agricultural community located in Fergus County, central Montana. It is known as a quiet, historic, and remote location that offers a glimpse into Montana's early homesteading era. The area was heavily settled by early homesteaders, and it is known for its historic grain elevator that still stands in the area. It is a typical middle-of-nowhere Montana town, characterized by vast open landscapes and a very slow pace of life. There's not much information about Glengarry. It's known for its rural setting and located in the central part of the state. It has a historical connection to mining, specifically the Glengarry mine. I'm really enjoying these old grain elevators. I hope you enjoy the photos.
Good morning, Silvia. It's day 7 of our adventure. We are in Lewistown, Montana. Tonight we will be in Cut Bank. Temperature is probably about 40-45 degrees. It's warming up quickly. And we're going to do some dirt road riding today probably to see some neat stuff. So let's get on the road. Well, this is a little disappointing. I was going to get my drone out here and get some wonderful shots of what I'm about to show you. But this is a controlled airspace and I can't fly my drone without permission. And I could probably get permission. There's an online system to do it, but I'm not going to mess with that. As a Part 107 drone certificate holder, I'm going to obey the law. And what I wanted to get is this huge wooden trestle. I guess you have to be a little bit of a trained nut to appreciate it, but I think it's pretty neat. And no trespassing. I can't even walk out on it. I'm still glad that I came. All made out of wood. Now, I'm no engineer, and I know nothing about this, but if you're like me, these things have always looked a little shaky. But up close, the timbers that they've got look to be 12 by 12, the vertical timbers, and there's 6 at every piling. And there's space maybe 12 feet apart. Like I said, just one of those 12 by 12 can transfer a lot of weight to the ground, and there's 6 at every spot. That actually looks very strong when I get up close. Oh yeah, and there's massive beams underneath the rails, bolted together. Looks like 3 underneath each rail, bolted together. So it's a lot stouter than it looks. And they've nailed some type of tin over each one to weatherproof it. Actually looks pretty stout.
I'm trying to reach the 2 grain elevators in the background. The dogs were a little animated, but they were friendly. But it appears that I took a wrong turn as I wound up in someone's backyard and had to make a U-turn and get back out. Eventually, a local guy by the name of Jim, who also gives me a tour of the Catholic Church when he sees me walking up, told me how to get to the grain elevators, and I do that later.
have a little YouTube channel that my friends and family watch.
And that's all the audio that I have. I was using my wireless mic, and I left the wireless mic on the motorcycle, which means that it was picking up what was around the motorcycle, and I was not at the motorcycle, I was in the church. So just enjoy the video. But Jim gave me the history of the church, and he takes care of it. He's done some roof maintenance and does what he can for the church, but it is abandoned. It was very kind of him to open the door and let me look around. I really enjoy talking to these local people. I like the boot scraper on the front steps. I thought cowboys wore their Sunday boots to church, but I guess not. I almost forgot. This is Danvers. It's in the middle of nowhere down a gravel road, and it was established as a station on the Milwaukee Railroad and was named after Danvers, Massachusetts. It operated a post office from 1914 to 1982. A post office has been in operation in Coffee Creek since 1914. The community took its name from nearby Coffee Creek. Coffee Creek used to be a large town when the railways were the main form of transportation. There were a number of reasons for the town's decline, including fires, supply and demand, and the invention of the car. Coffee Creek's name was based on the dark brown color of the waterway through the community.
Day number 7 to Lori. Why do I love you? You encourage me to take motorcycle trips even when you cannot go. Roses are red, getting old as a bear, but I still like the wind in my thinning hair. I'm in a small town, maybe a ghost town, of Square Butte. There's a sign out at the road that says that there's a historical marker here. I think it's right over here. Oh my, this looks like a jail. Imagine being incarcerated. Wow. Square Butte Jail. But imagine being here in the summer. I don't know, some of these old-time jails, our justice says that you're innocent until proven guilty. And to be jailed for something that you were innocent of and then be treated that way, have to live in those conditions. I don't know. That bothers me a little bit. Yeah, I see a stove there. Ooh, I'd like to have that stove. It's a 2-cell. I guess there's a little place here in the front for the jailer. Guess you're minding your P's and Q's in Square Butte so you don't wind up in the jail. I've had time to read the plaque, so let me summarize it for you. It talks about the railroad coming through here at Square Butte was an important stop because it had mineral-free water and coal. In 1915, residents concerned about oversupply of tramps, beggars, and vagabonds petitioned the county commissioners to appoint a justice of the peace. The commissioners complied, and the following year hired the Harrington Granite Works to build a county jail. Blah, 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 built on the property of a rancher. So the rancher Sullivan may have meant it to deter his 15 to 20 cowhands from Saturday night mischief. Maybe the ploy was effective. There's no evidence that the jail was actually used for prisoners. Blah, blah, blah. The jail did, however, later serve as road crew housing, as a bachelor's residence and a granary, and it provided local children with a unique clubhouse. Pretty cool. I don't know how I found out about this site, probably Google or roadside attractions, but let me show you. It's about a dog Old Shep. And I'm not going to walk the walking path to his burial site. The story. You just want to hear the story. Forever faithful. At the railroad station below, Shep spent his last years. He arrived in August 1936 following his master's casket that was shipped back east. The shepherd never saw his master again, but met every train in the hope of his return. At first, Shep lived under the platform, grudgingly accepting food and water from railroad employees. In later years, he was fed from the dining cars of the trains he met and slept by the fire in the station house. On January 12, 1942, Shep met his last train. He slipped on the tracks and was killed by the train. His passing was mourned by thousands who sent messages from around the globe. With Boy Scouts as pallbearers, his funeral was attended by hundreds. Shep is buried in a resting place where he continues his vigil forever. Old Shep, forever faithful.
Galata was established in 1894 by the railroad and was a typical town of the time. It did well until the 1920s when drought and falling wheat prices started its decline. The Depression added more stress. Today it is a ghost town. It looks like the post office has been closed.
And where's home for you?
North Carolina.
You're a little ways from home.
A little bit.